Greetings, everyone. Welcome once again to the Oz and Crew Reviews podcast. As always, I'm your host, Ozzy, here with my co host, whose channel we're on, Mad Matt.
Phoenix.
I always introduce myself as the host, even though we're doing this on your channel.
Well, technically, you are a host of this show. I don't mind being the what you want to call it, the producer, since it's on my channel.
I have to,
That's basically how me and Malice work things out.
I have to say, Matt, you appear to be the king of picking out B movies.
Oh,
Because of what we're talking about tonight, and the fact that Hawk the Slayer from a couple weeks ago, you're good at picking these weird kind.
I'm a king of weird but really fun shit.
Yeah.
It's weird. It's not gonna be your normal kind of forward mindset of a movie, but you're gonna be entertained by the time you're done.
And I admit I had no idea what we were going into this. I didn't know this was a musical. I
I
should have.
believe I dropped hints that it was a
I
musical, but yeah, I didn't blatantly say it
yeah.
was a musical.
And I should have. I should have been able to figure it out. Being it's the name is clearly a take on the Phantom of the Opera.
Mm-hmm.
And that's it's opera. That's music. So
Yep.
I should have known, but somehow I
The
didn't know.
Paradise is a rock opera house.
I don't even know how to describe what we just watched. You want to do the synopsis and then we could talk about it?
The synopsis, very quickly, what we got here is a picture of Dorian Gray mixed with Phantom of the Opera, mixed with the Faustian tale. Um, Long story short, a man who owns his own music studio called Def Records. His name is Swan. He sold his soul to the devil, which we don't find out until the last act. And then proceeds to entice people into his company to make big money for him and continue his popularity. He sold his soul mostly just so he could be young forever. Hence, part of the Dorian Gray part of the story. Also, if the film that the picture of him is made from is destroyed, he also is destroyed. Also, very much ties to Dorian Gray. Um, Long story short, he continues to host all these different musicians. One of them has even recently left, but he doesn't care because he's got big plans. He wants to finally open up his paradise, his big rock opera house. But he has yet to find the music he's looking for, which is when he happens to hear Winslow after one of his bands had finished playing. Winslow's playing this lovely song on a piano, and he wants the music, not the singer. He sets up Philbin, his right hand sleazeball, to essentially approach Winslow and try and get the music. Long story short, they steal his music. He tries multiple times in multiple different ways to get in there, but they keep shooing him away and basically don't want to hear from him and don't want him around. He manages to sneak into the Swanage, the mansion that Swan has taken hold of, and hides most of his time away in if he's not at the Paradise. And he's looking for new background singers for basically Winslow's stolen music. Winslow gets kicked out yet again. This time he is set up and framed with cocaine, and he is imprisoned in Sing Sing. While there, he has had his teeth removed, and his rage bouts prove to be getting stronger and stronger when he finally overhears that the horrific Swan band, the Juicy Fruits, have now gotten a hold of his music. He goes into absolute tirade, manages to escape Sing Sing, bursts his way through the studio, can't find Swan, but on his attempt to ruin the record press, he is injured and shot and falls into the water and is never found again. He appears again at the Paradise, where he then hides himself in a leather number with a big chrome, essentially bird head for a helmet, and goes around destroying props and injuring singers and background dancers, etc. To which Swan tries to make a deal with him again. Phoenix, a singer that he had met previously before his last time getting kicked out, appears to try and do singing again, and he convinces Swan to do a deal with her. He'll rewrite the music for her. She'll sing for him, and they'll finally all three of them get what they want. She gets to sing, he gets to have his music made, and Swan gets to open up the paradise. Swan, being the backstabbing son of a gun that he is, still can't take a no for an answer and puts Phoenix in the background and hires a guy named Beef, who is a heavy rocker. He is forced to re-alter the music for himself, even though he has qualms about it. And when he hears the shrieks of Winslow as he's breaking from confinement, after they try to brick him in, he again has even more worries that he's in too deep, and even gets threatened personally by Winslow as the Phantom. He tries to escape. They force him back in. He goes up on stage and gets electrified to death and bursts into flames. Phoenix gets her chance to sing, proves that she's an amazing singer. They put her up on the headlights, and they're going to highlight her, and very soon after, her and Swan getting married. Winslow refuses to make duets and love music for the two of them, and is trying to find a way to backstab Swan, which is when he decides to go back into the secret room he has at the Swanage and try to figure out what's going on back there. This is where he learns all the background stuff, including the whole burn the footage and you get to kill Swan thing. Kills Swan, but a wound he opened up on himself earlier reopens, and he dies on stage just in time to land at such an angle that Phoenix can see his normal side half of his face only and realizes it's him again. And we basically fade to black. Well, flames, and then some more music in the end credits. And that's the basic plot of it.
I have to say, the thing is that once he became the Phantom, his facial expressions.
He was alright, very intense, but he went like to 11. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, he was able to make such insane faces with that mask on.
Everything from wild, freaked out, bug-eyed looks to these highly sympathetic, sad, emotive faces when he's about to kill himself because he sees what's going on and it's not going in his favor.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, you didn't mention, you mentioned the wound reopening. You didn't mention how he got it.
I didn't, yes.
He got it from trying to kill himself when he saw Phoenix
making out with Swan.
But he literally couldn't kill himself because of the contract he signed in blood.
Yep. Because Winslow makes everyone else sign contracts in blood too, just like him. So they're all tied together. The only one to survive the breaking of the contracts was Phoenix because she hadn't been injured severely yet.
Right. And I commented on this while we were watching it, that his helmet kind of reminds me of Griffith from Berserk. Just in case anyone else kind of gets that feeling.
I get like a lot of weird anime vibes from that helmet, and there's a lot of different animes, including Griffith from Berserk, that have similar designs like that. It's kind of weird in that, but also it's even more weird is that the guy, as far as I'm aware, who made that thing, it was just like Bird, Swan, Def Records, Dead Crow, just Bird and Chrome. That's all we need.
Yeah.
And also, to be fair, I think this was like a decade or two before Berserk even got started, as far as I'm aware.
Yeah, this came out. You said this came out in '74, so like
74, yeah.
Anime wasn't even really that
popular
big yet.
I think like only like really big stuff would occasionally cross over at the time, like stuff like Gatchaman would occasionally come over. But that's not it.
That or Speed Racer.
Speed Racer, yeah.
But for the most part, like, and a lot of that stuff you wouldn't even know it was Japanese animation.
Mm-hmm.
The characters in this though, I like. Swan is stupidly evil. Like, he literally caused his own downfall because he just couldn't take a win. Like.
He can't be handed a win by anyone else by himself, and when he gets it, he just like, nah, I can't take that. I need to be the only perfect person in the room, so I'm gonna backstab them and do something else now.
Because when he heard Phoenix and he said she was perfect, and he's like, we need somebody else. Philbin, his fucking sleazeball goon, is like, but you said she's perfect. Why would you need somebody else? He's like, you know how I detest perfection in anyone but myself. What the fuck?
By the way, I should also note that the actor for Swan, I think of his name right now. Gosh darn it. Back, Paul Williams. He was actually originally signed up to be the Phantom, but he then realized how anti-studio the film was going to be, and he's very much a pro-studio boy who's had nothing but good things happen to him through the studios. So he kind of had to take it on the chin and become the bad guy for this one.
That's funny because yeah, you pointed out that he actually the guy that played the music producer has actually been heavily involved in music production in real life.
Oh yes, very much so. He wrote all the music for this movie. He's written almost every major hit for the Muppets. He wrote a song and sang it for Daft Punk on their last album, Random Access Memories.
So while he's nothing
The
like
song Touch.
so while he's nothing like Swan in real life, he completely understood how to play that character because of his own
Yeah.
experience.
Oh yeah, he understood how to play the studio guy, if nothing else, and then just add a little bit of slarmy charm on it on top of it.
But yeah,
He would also occasionally show up in some of those like random like what do you want to call it, those shows which would do like the talk show thing, but they would also have like music breaks and other stuff happening on the show. He'd show up for those too, and he'd be occasionally a sly little guy on those too. I believe at one point he pushed both the Brady boys into the pool.
but in addition to his, his character, in addition to not just taking an easy win with Phoenix, like even earlier in the movie, like you liked the guy's music, but you didn't like his singing. You probably could have tried to come to an agreement with him where he just produced the music and didn't
Right.
sing. Because like he spazzed out when he had there
Or
was
Juicy Fruits.
yeah for Juicy Fruits, but it's like but that doesn't mean he wouldn't want anyone else to sing it. He just
Hmm.
doesn't want them to sing it.
Just not those grease bums, as he put it.
Yeah. Um. But I mentioned this while we were watching it. I did actually feel bad for Beef because he
Yeah.
really didn't do anything wrong. He just got
Well, he still butchered Wislow's music, but he had no idea what was going on behind the scenes, and he was kind of propped up to be the fall guy.
yeah. He literally got his arm twisted to not back out when he clearly could tell something was wrong.
Hmm. Pretty
Um,
much.
and even earlier on when he was told to just make the song his own, do what he wants with it. He's like, well,
Doesn't that
if
just change the music?
yeah, if you can just change the lyrics to whatever you want, then that completely changes the whole point of the song. Like, and he really didn't like Philbin because Philbin's just like, it don't matter. It's like, why is this jackass that doesn't understand music sitting here having a say in anything? Like
Yep. Tabo.
and he was a character that he was very weird overall, but like he wasn't.
A very strange man, but very entertaining
Yeah,
for the time when he was on stage.
yeah.
I believe his actor's other claims to fame is being in a few comedy movies,
And I
and
had
he has the shtick for it. To be fair,
and I had joked that while earlier in the movie, Winslow disguised himself as a woman to sneak into Swan's place to see him, which prompted Swan to call him the F slur.
hmm
Um, I thought it was funny because
Beef acted more effeminate
Beef,
than he
yeah,
did.
Beef was acting way more fruity on stage than the person that was actually called the F slur in this movie. I found that kind of an odd twist of fate. The guy that Swan was actually obsessed with pushing just kind of moved that way for some reason. And then
As they do.
and then they framed Winslow for having cocaine, and then Beef was actually doing cocaine.
Sniffing it, yeah.
It's like everything Winslow gets accused of, Beef actually does. I don't know. That was
Might be even further incentive for why Winslow doesn't really like him very much because he's like, "Are you effing kidding me? This guy? The absolute state of this man. I'm going to absolutely end him if he doesn't get off my stage."
and obviously, Phoenix, the character Phoenix, her character was lovable, though she kind of went down a bit of a dark path for a little bit. But like, she's someone that couldn't catch a break, and when she finally did, she got such an immense reaction from the crowd. You can kind of understand how anyone
See how it would
Yeah.
affect her.
yeah, how anyone would become addicted to that when they were never given their chance, and the one time they actually sing in front of people, they instantly become a star.
Yeah.
That was. Is there any other characters that are really worth talking about? Well, I guess we didn't talk too much about Philbin. We mentioned him in regards to other people.
We mentioned him in regards to other people. Philbin's like the absolute like menace of a greaseball. He's the right hand man of Swan, and I'd swear he's actually a worse person than Swan is. He's trying to essentially lay around with all the singers even before they're taking over to Swan once in a while. He's basically in control of all the thugs as well. He's also in control of helping guide the musicians, even though he really has no musical talent, and he's just an awful piece of garbage person.
Yeah. The only thing he really had going for him is that he was actually clueless to some of the shit Swan was doing.
Yeah, he was apparently at least clueless to Swan's bargain, and he was also clueless as to why or where or how all the Phantom stuff was happening, other than the fact that by the time Beef is gone up in smoke, he has no other person to point at or blame other than, oh God, the Phantom thing was real. Shit, quick, clean it up. No, Phoenix, over here, you need to start singing now or other people are going to die.
Yeah.
Only thing he could really do in a position like that.
Yeah, because he actually thought when Beef told him what happened, because Winslow, as the Phantom, attacked him in the shower and threatened him, like, Philbin thought he was just making it up or that he imagined it because he was on drugs. And Beef even says, I know the difference between drug real and real.
When you feel a plunger like that around your face, I guarantee you do very quickly.
Yeah, it's like, I don't think I imagined the plunger shoved over my mouth or the knife pointed at me.
Or the fact that the Phantom literally just showed up like that goddamn Norman Bates in my shower.
Yeah, that was... So it is worth noting that Philbin does get what he deserves eventually. Though it was honestly it was kind of unintentional because it's like...
It was an accident, but it's a well-placed
Yeah,
accident.
because, during
He had it coming for quite some time.
During Swan's whole evil plan, his plan was to have Phoenix killed in the middle of the... And you know what? I gotta say, never mind. Forget what I said about Philbin not knowing what was going on, because he knew they were going to kill Phoenix in the middle of
At the end of the act, he was very well aware what was
Yeah.
going on there, yes.
But
He was pretty much all behind on Phoenix getting killed secretly.
Yeah, they had a hitman that was going to kill her. And when Winslow grabs the gun and it still goes off, it ends up hitting Philbin instead of Phoenix. So it's like, I don't think that Winslow specifically planned for that to happen. He probably didn't care that it happened, but it's not like he really had any way of intentionally making the hitman shoot a specific person when pulling the gun away.
Yeah, he didn't have I don't think he specifically planned it, and if he was able to somehow plan it, he is smarter and stronger than he lets on.
Yeah. I do have to say, it is weird that this is the second movie we've watched in a month where that involved a hitman hiding during an event and putting together a sniper rifle to kill somebody. It's just this hitman was not drugged up and eating a pretzel.
No, he was pretty straightforward, although he was rocking shades in the middle of the night for some reason. We'll never know. Maybe because he didn't want to see the visions inside of his mind. Well, I
Oh,
guess we'll never know.
you'd think that would affect your aim.
You'd think so, especially when trying to look into a scope.
Maybe that's the real reason he missed. It wasn't because of Winslow. It's because he was wearing sunglasses. Um, who else did we? Yeah, there's not really anyone. There's not really
There's
any
not
other.
any. There's not really any main characters. There's the Goon Squad that occasionally show up and have funny moments. There's some background singers and so forth that'll have a goofy moment or two with the main cast. Um, there's the secretary that has the fun never to be seen, the little tag that she gets to look at before hitting the alarm button. Um, there's just a lot of little tiny cameo
Yeah.
characters, but nobody else that's really of import to the movie.
Yeah, yeah. And my whole opinion of the secretary is, damn, why such a scumbag have such a cute secretary?
Money.
um, the funny thing is, like, even though Winslow hated the Juicy Fruits, I actually did enjoy their song at the beginning of the movie.
Not a bad song, and there's a lot of craziness going on in that background if you watch it very carefully.
Yeah, there was a lot of weird stuff that happened during that. Like, just in the middle of the song, one of the singers randomly strangling a person. That's like, was that part of the act? What's going on?
As far as I'm aware, that's something that just popped up. Also, you get close up to the two of them, and they're looking off to the audience like, "What? What do you want?" Also, one of them goes lunging into the audience, attacks a guy, lunges back into the audience, assaults a woman, and comes back with her bra in his mouth, and then quickly comes back to singing. Also, if you're watching them carefully, at one point, the other guy of those two on the second mic, Mick pulls out a giant rolled up piece of who knows what and starts giving it to the other band members too in the background.
Yeah.
So, yeah, lots of weird, strange little things going on that are some in jokes, I would assume.
It's definitely an interesting movie. It's not. I don't know what I was expecting. Like I said, I kind of said that already. I didn't know what to expect going into this. I just knew it was. I just assumed it was going to be a B movie, more or less, because it's one of those things I haven't heard a whole lot about. But
It's one of those movies that if you're in the right circle, you'll hear quite a bit about it, and that you definitely should see it at least once. I've mentioned to this to Ozzy. I'll mention this for the rest of the crowd. This movie did technically bomb when it released, but it did so well in a Canadian theater that they continue to re-air it every couple of years, and it sells out every time. This same city in Canada, I can't remember which one it is. I'd have to look it up. I don't have all of it in front of me. They still host Phantom Palooza, which still brings back everybody who was ever involved in the production of the movie, including actors, producers, and of course Paul Williams and others, to come back, do show interviews, do live singing shows, talk about what they did for the movie, etc. And it's just basically a weekend convention of just everything Phantom of the Paradise. Merchandise gets re-brought up and sold to the masses. People get to meet everybody live. There's a couple airings of the actual movie itself, and so on. It's a thing. It's still around.
I I think it's a good thing to try and compare movies we watch to other movies we've watched if we can. Kind of like how with Answer the Call, we pointed out that we finally found a movie we hated more
That
than
hey, more than
Jason
Jason Goes to Hell.
yeah.
Yeah.
As far as
Jason Goes to Hell.
as far as the bad movies category goes.
Mm-hmm.
But this, well, while it's a different genre, and both movies are very genre specific, I would kind of put this one on the same level as Behind the Mask: The Rise of Leslie Vernon. As far as kind of like a B movie production that's very much, kind of a love letter to the genre it's
Yeah,
associated with.
it's basically it is. Whereas Vernon is more of a fan love letter to slashers. This is very much a fan love letter to like um not just rock and roll itself, but also to musicals and a little bit of a kind of love note letter here and there to the up and coming guys. Like Alice Cooper was new to the scene by the time this movie came out. So and you can definitely tell there's some possible in references to him too, with some of the makeup choices like, and so on. Oh, and not even just Alice Cooper. Oh, what's his name? Mr. Brown, who did Fire.
Oh, that I love that song.
Yeah. Well, Alice Cooper has admitted that he took Arthur Brown. He's admitted that he took Arthur Brown's face makeup. And Arthur Brown's like, well, that's cool. Well, if it works for him, fine.
Um. So any final thoughts before we wrap it up?
Final thoughts. I mean, I've known about this movie now for, gosh, 20 some years. Still probably one of my favorite musicals. I'll occasionally listen to some of the songs in it once in a while if I feel in the mood in it. And I now have a Blu-ray copy as well as a DVD copy. So at least I have backups now and all that good jazz. So
Good thing about Blu-rays, at least according to Discotech Media, is that a properly printed Blu-ray can last from 100 to 150 years.
so it might last me a while, yeah.
It'll last longer than you do if as long as it doesn't get damaged.
Stay in your case, stay in your case.
Um
This,
well
this Blu-ray's gonna be multi-generational.
for me like the beginning is kind of a slow burn because it takes a while to really get a grasp of what they're going for with the story. But once it gets going, it just gets crazier and more interesting the further you get into the movie.
Oh yeah, it does not take long before it starts cooking, and it's just like, what are we actually watching here?
So as long as you don't mind musicals, I do recommend this one to anyone who's listening that might be unsure whether or not to actually watch it.
Musicals and anyone who's a bit into like some literature horror might pick up on a few cues in here.
Well, I mean, I'm mainly mentioning the musicals thing because the thing is, it's one of those things where if you hate musicals, you won't like this movie. But if you either like them or are somewhat indifferent towards them, overall, I think it's a good movie.
Mm.
So that's, I think, all we have to say about this. Next time we will be beginning the RoboCop series, which, by the
Oh
way,
boy.
we're not just going to watch the three movies. We're not just going to watch the three movies and the remake. Some people might not even be aware of these, but there was an anthology of 4 made-for-TV movies called Prime Directives that we're going to watch as well. We're actually going
Mm-hmm.
to watch those before the attempted remake,
Yeah,
because we're going to watch
because
we're going to watch them in
both,
release order.
because yeah, both canonically and also release, they did come before the remake attempt. So
Yeah.
'cause it
So
is technically trying to continue RoboCop with varying shades of what they do or do not keep as canon.
And I am going to try to make a habit of this now with each of these at the end, mention what we're going to watch next time so that people know what to look forward to. Because for a while we've just ended it and not even really said what our upcoming plans were. Which I guess that's kind of a problem with this, just kind of going off the cuff and not having like a format specifically that we do, aside from you doing the synopsis every time.
kind of free flowing. We don't know. Who knows what's coming next? Ooh.
Well, and the thing is, depending on what the movie is, how we feel about it, we might have more to talk about than if like with
Certain
another one.
ones, yeah.
Because it's like you could have a format where you have like a bullet list of what you want to go through, but then you might have a movie where like a bunch of those you don't have anything interesting to say about. So I think it's
Hmm.
easier to just go with the flow and say what comes to our mind. So until next time, everybody, have a good one.
Straight out of trouble.